What do you mean by infidel?
Non-Muslims.
Have the same rights?
There are 27 Muslim countries in the world that nobody else but a Muslim can buy property or land in them countries.
Give me one of them.
Well, a lot of them are in Africa, and
give me one.
Hold on, which one was it?
Well, it was the same one that was underneath the Winston Churchill post, probably.
No, it wasn't. Let me. No, I'll tell you something.
Okay.
I cannot think of the country itself, but no. But when you hold on, where does everybody go for holidays?
Tom Swarbrick just delivered one of the most brutal live radio takedowns you'll ever hear. A caller came in with sweeping claims about Muslims supposedly having priority in Britain, even dropping what he thought was a Winston Churchill quote. But Tom wasn't having it. He calmly fact-checked him in real time, exposed the so-called Churchill line as fake, and pressed him for evidence he simply couldn't provide. At one point, the caller boldly claimed that 27 Muslim countries ban non-Muslims from owning property. Tom asked him to name just one, and the silence was deafening. What followed was a complete collapse of the caller's argument, with excuses replacing answers. It's the perfect case study in how misinformation crumbles when it's actually challenged. And before we dive deeper, I want to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I'll be reading through them myself, and I'll even pin the best comment at the top. So let's see who brings the sharpest take. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown.
So Matthew Goodwin, who has done this research, has come to the conclusion, based on census data, he has come to the conclusion that the white British share of the population, again, very critical to define our terms here, defined as, for this report, defined as people who do not have an immigrant parent, the white British share of the population could have fallen to by around a third, 33.7% by 2063. He says that's going to raise great concern. My question to you is, what concern? And why concern? Lenny's in Ashford. Lenny!
Good afternoon, Tom.
Squire.
Well, I am really concerned for my offspring that we are going to lose our religion and our Britishness. And it's got to happen.
It's got to happen?
Yes, well, if may I think Sir Winston Churchill can explain it better than me. And he's I think were wise words. Mm-hmm. When Muslims are in the minority, they are very concerned with minority rights. When they are in the majority, there are no minority rights. And that was the wise words of Winston Churchill.
I will check the wise words of Winston Churchill on that particular point, Lenny.
Yeah, please do.
But there is absolutely no suggestion, even if that were true, that there is going to be a majority Muslim country anytime soon here.
Well, I mean, the way the country is going, the Muslims already have priority over the indigenous people of our country.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's two-tier law, isn't it?
What does that mean?
There's double standards with our
way,
law and order at the moment in favour of the Muslim community.
Right. Tell me in what way, sir?
Well, if you watch, it's every day. There are when you have a Muslim parade, they're allowed to get away with no arrest, nothing, and talk about their religion and the infidel, what they want to do with the infidels.
Which parade is
and
this,
then
Lenny?
when it comes to an English parade by patriots of this country, they're treated totally different.
Lenny, what parade is this that you've seen where chants about the infidels have been let out?
Well, when you see it, on a Saturday, nearly every week in London and the cities. When you see, we are only the basic religion of an infidel is that when they that when possible, and they preach to kill infidels.
There are, Lenny, you're right. There are people who use an extremist version of Islam, we normally call it Islamists, who preach some horrendous things about jihad and infidels and all that kind of stuff. Normally they're picked up by the police. Too often they're able to find a loophole or two that keeps them out of the prison cell for a long time. But the police are putting people like that behind bars.
Not often enough, Tom. When you look at the
But what about any of this, Lenny? By the way, the remark you attribute to Winston Churchill, I'm quoting here, Lee Pollock, the trustee and advisor to the board of the International Churchill Society, says of the quote that you just gave, Lenny, it does not appear in any of his many books, articles or speeches, nor is there any attribution from a witness that he/she heard him say that.
Well, I personally read something by Winston Churchill, and I thought right. I'll save that for one day because that will come in handy.
And it's something that the trustee and advisor of the board of the International Churchill Society has not read?
Okay, well, put it this way then.
So you might be wrong. Do you think you might be wrong on that quote?
Well, if I am wrong, I am saying it because when you go to a Muslim country, you haven't got no rights.
Right, so you haven't. Just to be clear, you are now not ascribing that quote to Churchill. You're telling me that you are saying it as something that you believe to be true.
Well, when I read it, it was signed by Winston Churchill, and if he didn't say it, if he did not,
it was signed by Winston Churchill.
My fear.
You saw it online, didn't you, Lenny? And you saw a signature of Winston Churchill underneath that quote with maybe a picture of Winston Churchill in the background. And you, in your head, you've said, "Oh my God, Winston Churchill signed this off and put it as a meme on Instagram."
Well, all right. If we agree to disagree on that, but I will say, you go to a Muslim country. When does infidels have the same rights as a Muslim?
What do you mean by infidel?
Non-Muslims
have the same rights.
There are 27 Muslim countries in the world that nobody else but a Muslim can buy property or land in them countries.
Give me one of them.
Well, a lot of them are in Africa, and
give me one.
Hold on, which one was it?
Well, it was the same one that was underneath the Winston Churchill post, probably.
No, it wasn't. Let me. No, I'll tell you something.
Okay.
I cannot think of the country itself, but no. But when you hold on, where does everybody go for holidays? Muslim countries, dear. I'm sorry, Tom.
Don't you worry, Lenny. It's very hard. I understand. If you come on national radio and you ascribe quotes to a former prime minister that turns out not to be true, and then you can't think of a single country in Africa to back up your point that there are 27 countries in which I can understand that that's a very difficult thing. If it's all right with you, I'm going to leave it there because, thank you for the call.
Listening to this exchange, it's clear just how weak Lenny's arguments really were. He came in claiming Britain was losing its culture, waving around a so-called Churchill quote that turned out to be completely fake. When challenged, he backpedaled, saying he read it somewhere. Then he tried to argue Muslims have legal priority in Britain, but when pressed for examples, all he had were vague mentions of parades he couldn't even name. And his biggest claim, that 27 Muslim countries ban non-Muslims from owning property, completely collapsed the moment Tom asked him to name just one. He couldn't, not a single one. What this call really shows is how misinformation spreads. People repeat viral memes and half-baked claims as if they're fact, but when held to even the slightest scrutiny, it all falls apart. Stay sharp, stay informed, and as always, thanks for watching. See you in the next breakdown.